Systematically over the last several years, employers have actually stepped in to smash unions of workers' choice, more often than not with the support of government. This is not about throwing money to workers. It's about actually ensuring that the law works. The elemental issue, and that's in a sense the key attack of this government, which is to virtually dismantle trade union rights. Legislative paper on the table, which would which would undermine trade union rights, which would allow government to unilaterally interfere in the affairs of trade unions. The way this government looks at trade unions is as unambiguously obstructionist. The question is, what's the kind of restrictions that are going to be placed on the workers? One of the pieces on the table is unions will actually be deregistered if a union is found to have led an action that amounts to being illegal. Now, let me put it this way: when a company cheats its investors, its shareholders, its government, when it has tax fraud against it, is the company deregistered under the Companies Act?
How fair it is, because it's not very clear in a country like ours. When we say that across the country you're going to have differences in wage rates, see, people are going to be doing the same work, and we are asking that people have to accept less wages in a state which is seen as underdeveloped by us. These are notions of developed, underdeveloped, and which have come from somewhere else. I'm not sure how they apply here. Having different categories of states and saying that in these different categories of states you'll have lesser or greater amounts that will be fixed as minimum wages. I'm not sure that the consequences of this have been studied at all. Because if you're going to have a huge difference in that scale from one state to another, what it will do, for instance, to migration is not clear at all. And I think these things need to be anticipated. If you have, there is a thing of the minimum wage that gets paid, and if you feel that it has to be linked up with the cost of living index, that can be done in different states. But to say that the minimum wage itself is going to be determined differently seems to me, I don't know how they've thought through to come to a conclusion like this.
The Minimum Wages Act, which is perhaps the most significant universal piece of legislation as far as workers are concerned, is perhaps violated the most. Workers are not left out of legislative legal protection. Workers are kept out. Workers are pushed out.
Agriculture today is so devalued. You have no respect for the kind of work that people, the skills that people have in agriculture. People are telling us that, there is a whole generation that wants to move away from agriculture. And you're not asking why. It's because you've devalued it so much, and by policy, over the past 20 odd years, we have devalued agriculture, and therefore those skills get devalued. So when we are thinking of what is semi-skilled or skilled, we are going to look in the context of corporatization, not in the context of what we require for an economy.
The crucial thing that trade unions are asking today and must ask is, it's not about where is the proposal for ensuring robust implementation. Okay, this country's Supreme Court has held that non-payment of minimum wage amounts to bonded labor. No proposal to take forward minimum wage can be meaningful unless it becomes a criminal. Non-payment of minimum wage becomes a criminal offense. Where's the scope to negotiate? They call it's a one-way street. Are they willing to talk when unions want to meet with them? The first thing this government did was, in fact, to issue a blanket order to demobilize and dismantle all tripartite committees. There are several tripartite committees, industry-wise, issue-wise, and this government dismantled them. Then, following protest, they actually put them back in place. It's 1.5 years, not one of those committees has met. We keep approaching the Labour Ministry, asking when these tripartite committees are going to be convened. Civil servants have no answer. When unions approach government, government does not respond, government does not meet, government does not listen. So where is negotiation? As I said, negotiation is not a one-way street. I cannot negotiate with you when you decide when we will drop.